Hello, Benjies. Welcome to BingeWorthy, part of the Geekish Network. We binge a show to let you know if you should. I am your host, Rakai, the Newt from the Ville. Hello, Governor. And with me tonight, I have my esteemed co-hosts. I'm going to start off with the fabulous Miss Courtney Scott Wright. Say hello to the people.
Hi.
And we also have our wonderful, he's been here before, but he is still part of the Geekish Network, Mr. Sintel with the Intel. Say hello to the people.
Hey, yo, what is going down, everybody? I'm looking forward to this one.
And also the wonderful, the esteemed Mr. Johnny Randolph. Randy, say hello to the people.
What it do, people?
All right. Now, if you're an audience member, feel free to communicate with us. We are live right now on a lot of stuff, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, all over the world, whatever. But today we're going to let you know if you should watch Paramount Plus's Mobland. Now, the Harrigans, a London crime family, find themselves in a battle with the Stevensons that could end syndicates and their lives. Harry D'Souza is a street-smart and formidable fixer employed by the Harrigan family to navigate and mitigate the escalating conflict threatening their empire. As tensions between the families intensify, Harry is tasked with protecting the Harrigans' interests and protecting and preventing an all-out gang war. Now, Rodney, who is our technical producer and one of the best in the land, he will post our cast members' ratings. Now, just so that you know, every week, and this week we're doing Paramount Plus's Mobland, we rate in the beginning, and then we rate it again at the end, just to see if anyone had a change of heart during our discussion. So, Rodney, what was our ratings? How do we come out? Okay, so we had 2 binge-worthies and 2 full meals. So that puts us at a 3.5. So yeah, 4.5. So yeah, it still skews into the binge-worthy. If you round up, still binge-worthy. So let me start with Courtney. You had a full meal. Can we discuss your rating, ma'am?
Yeah, I thought it started off really strong. I was really invested in the storyline like right away. I do feel like the ending was a bit rushed, and I thought that they created some backstory lines for, you know, was it Kevin's character? I think it was. Is that his name?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was interesting, but for me, it took a left field direction, and I think it just took away from the story of the what was happening. There were other elements that I thought were a little bit, took me out, but overall, I thought it was a really good show, well written. I'm a huge fan of Guy Ritchie, but the landing was on wobbly legs.
Okay.
Even though they, was still standing, the legs
Okay.
were wobbling. So,
Okay. All right. Mr. Randolph, I want you to talk about your full meal.
Okay. This show, I went back and forth, honestly. I went back and forth between full meal and binge-worthy. And the show started off to me like really strong, and its feet was on the pedal full throttle for all the way out. And I love the acting in it. I thought the actors brought such a dynamic relationship to these characters and really brought them to life and made every character very interesting. The thing that kind of took it affected my viewer experience I thought it was a lot going on, like a lot. Like it was one part Macbeth, there's one part The Godfather, there's one part Mission Impossible. Well, it was like a lot of things all going on at the same time. And I thought that maybe it tried to lean in and be a little bit too much. And maybe for some things, if it pulled back and focused more on certain aspects, we would have gotten something a little bit deeper, more profound. Maybe if we got we pull back on some of all the drama and the narrative, we got more action. Or maybe we pull back some of the action, we got more narrative. So it kind of just impacted me on the user experience. That's why I was interested to come here tonight, because I really wanted to hear you guys' take. I am open to pushing it up or staying at the same level. But this is a really good show. It's really fun. As Courtney alluded to, it's got all the makings of a Guy Ritchie project. It's fast paced, being in this world, and it's super fun. So those were kind of the reasons that I had. Just some of the things, just was a lot going on.
Okay. I'm gonna go next, and I gave it a binge worthy because I actually agree with everything you and Courtney said. I think that the starting out super strong. I was like, what is this? I was like, oh, okay. Guy Ritchie watched X-Men 97. We all brakes, we all gas, no brakes. I was like, okay. I loved everything about it. I loved the writing. I thought they made a lot of smart choices. I think the tone did change right in the middle. But that wasn't a problem for me. Even the ending, and it's maybe more so because I think that when the show first started, they'd already announced it's renewed for season 2. I don't know if they were already finished with all of the principal photography and the whole thing, and if they kind of switched the focus so that it carried into season 2, knowing that they had a season 2. And sometimes that happens. I don't know if that happened here. I do agree with you too, Randy. It was kind of all over the place. There was a lot going on. It was all over the place. And I think it would have been better, maybe, if they had taken back and focused in just a couple of areas. But I don't know if we'd have got the show that we got. I think we'd be like, okay, it was heavy on action, but it was weak on plot and weak on story. So I don't know. I just know that I loved it. I loved it. And yes, I could nitpick certain things, but I was like, yeah, that's not enough for me to pull away from this. Because, for a series, this is super strong, stronger than The Gentleman was. The Gentleman had some lulls, but, found its footing at the end. This is, up there with, for Guy Ritchie stuff, this is up there with, your Snatches and Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Like, it's one of his stronger properties. So I gave it a binge worthy. And Mr. Centel with the Intel, can you close it out for us, sir?
I don't know what the hell y'all was watching. That joint was off the chain. Loved it. My God. I haven't seen anything like that. I think the closest thing, maybe Gangs of London. I mean, there's gangster stuff that's been out there, but we got like Boardwalk Empire, Godfather Harlem, BMF, Tulsa King. I haven't seen Peaky Blinders. I hear it's fantastic, so I can't really speak on behalf of that. But Guy Ritchie just really flexed on this. I loved his version of The Gentleman. It was good, but it was lacking in some things. It was a little thin. But Guy Ritchie, for me, went back to the drawing board and was like, you know what? You want some stuff to fill out this gumbo of gangster? I got you. And with the help of Helen Mirren, my goodness, you want to talk about a class of just villainy / I don't know what Maeve is going to do next. Follow that right next to Pierce Bronson, who came out and put together probably the craziest couple since Bonnie and Clyde. Maybe I don't know. That's not even really I can't really describe what Mickey and Mallory maybe. And then Tom Hardy just comes in and becomes everybody's favorite fixer. Absolutely great. Patty Constantine came in, delivered. Even the bad guy does a really good job of maybe throwing the sin off in one way, but then coming around in another. I loved every single episode. I think not a single episode was below an 8. Most of them were 9s, and there was a couple of 10s. Excellent.
Okay. All right. So let's get into it. Let's talk about this thing. All right. So how well does this show, because that's the thing, we've been talking about the want for original IPs, and this is an original IP. How well does this show balance plot, character development and the world building that we have here. So, and anybody can jump in and start this thing off.
I'll jump in real quick just to say I thought it did a great job, but it was a lot going on in this show, man. I feel like every time I looked up, it was some twist, and I was like, "Wait a minute, right? Like I don't know. Sometimes it came off a little soap opera-ish to me, like all the parenting and all of those things. I was like, is this General Hospital? Is this Tyler Perry? Where are we going? Where are we going with this? No, that's not to say. That's not to say. To Santel's point, like the action and the actors, they were all on point. They understood the mission. But with all of those things juggling around, to sometimes I felt like if we would have leaned in more to one concentrated area, we would have gotten maybe a better, I don't want to say better story because it's a good story, but like the output would have been a little clarity. I think we'd have got a little bit more clarity if we would have leaned in more to like just a few plot points instead of just like it being all over the place. And that was what I thought about the world building.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Randy. Listen, no one's ever gonna discount Tom Hardy. He is magnificent. I don't think I've seen him in a role that he did not deliver. Even in Bane, he didn't even say much in in the Nolan properties, but he killed it. You know what I mean? Like he even had like, Sintel mentioned like Peaky Blinders. Tom Hardy was in Peaky Blinders. Like he had like scenes in there that are just like they slay. So like in just like cameo moments. So he is a powerhouse actor always. And I absolutely loved what he brought to this character. For me, like again, like I said, it started out gangbusters. I was with them till like almost the very end. It was just to the point of what Randy said about plot points. It was the hangnail plot points for me. It was like, okay, we need something for Kevin. Okay, we're gonna throw in this random police chief who is retired but comes back in and like outdoes, like undoes, what's the word I'm even looking for? Just breaks apart everything that we've come to know about these cops that are chasing our, mob families. And then the storyline with Kevin's wife, like we didn't know what she was doing or why she was doing it the whole time. And then for her to come out and have the similar, you know, uh abusive story to her husband's out of left field. It was just, for me, I was like, okay, I'm not discounting anything the actors did. It was just they were all out of left field for the ending to tie things up. So I really thought that that was a lot for me in terms of like, just closing it out. But I do think that it went up until then, Guy Ritchie is like one of my faves. So up until then, I was with them. It just, the ending lost its luster.
Okay. Okay. I cannot disagree that it did take on very soap opera-ish qualities with an extreme amount of violence, and I'm okay with that. Um, I think to both of your points, for me, they let certain storylines linger too long. Like according your point about Isabella, Bella, Kevin's wife. That whole story point with her and her dad and what was going on, that lingered way too long. We shouldn't have had to come to episode 10 to figure out where that was going. Like that took way too long to get to some sort of uh place where we even understood where that was even going. I was like, I didn't understand none of that. Little things. Jan, Kevin, Harry's wife. The thing is,
And she was lost.
if anything, she was probably the person who pissed me off in the show the most. Um, and I think so as Centel and I did a reaction to this to every episode on his channel. And I think the one thing he said once, something that stuck out with me, he said, the thing is, as much as we love this show, as much as I loved Harry, uh, as much as Maeve and Conrad are out of their rabbit ass minds, there's only probably one innocent person on this show, and she was starting to be kind of corrupted towards the end, which was Harry's daughter. She was probably the only innocent. Everybody else, stone cold gangster. Whatever they get is what they get, and they deserve that shit. So I don't know. I like the world building that they did. I like this thing. To me, I thought that the by the end of the show, I think that they had tied up what their local problems were, and they had just escalated to international problems. I thought that was where it was going. So I was kind of okay with the world building and the character development did, especially it was weird, but I like that whatever it was, it unlocked Kevin the Beast at the end of the story. So it was a weird way to get there, but okay.
Uh,
Uh
I
Trey, yeah.
I love the world building. I think that here's where I will agree with you on. If this was a project that I think Guy Ritchie knew that he was only going to get one season, and they were writing with only one season in mind, I could see the validity of what you all are saying, and I'll actually even co-sign with some of that. I can see that. But to me, the way that they were going about it, it feels like there's a larger vision that's about to go down. I don't know if it's going to be a 2-season vision, 3-season vision, but something much larger. And to me, from maybe by the time we got to like episode 3, you could kind of see that, oh, this is going to be a lot bigger than just Harry just fixing a couple of people's problems. This is going to be a division between, family versus the family you make, culture, old versus new, blood versus friends. There's all of these different versus families versus different types of families. Who's going to run London? And there's a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of moving pieces within the family. There's a lot of moving pieces within who's going to be against the family regarding other families. Other moving pieces regarding the police. We get to a point where we find out that there could be other moving pieces that are international, other organizations that are at a higher point. So we're getting a version of what feels like a Westeros-ish kind of thing kind of happening, where there's a lot of other bigger things and bigger ideas happening, and we're all kind of seeing it through the eyes of Tommy, of Harry, this guy that is the fixer. And what happens when this kingdom that we're seeing in Fred gets really shaken up, and the pillars that be could potentially be replaced, aged out, killed. So there was a lot of things going on, and I do agree with you, Johnny, regarding that. But I think that if in the global idea of what could happen, we're setting the table in the right place, and there was a good enough amount of action to make sure that you weren't bored while this table was being set.
Okay. All right. Courtney.
I will say, I wanted to kind of like piggyback you, Rakai, off of what
Okay.
you were saying about Jan. Like Joanne Foggett is an incredible actress, and I really haven't seen much of her work outside of Downton Abbey, but she plays the like really kind of like soft-spoken, just kind of worn down kitchen maid in Downton Abbey. So
Oh,
you really don't get
okay.
to see her kind of like in a position of like, not that she has a quiet strength in that series, but it's
Mhm.
this was like really her like forefront and being a part of a world that she loves her husband, but she also doesn't know if she belongs there. And she was long suffering and irritating. I was like, I don't understand how you can't figure out that this person that you just met in yoga might not be who you think they are, and given
Mhm.
who you are. Um, well, she had some really powerful scenes
Mhm.
and moments. And it was those moments, even though she was frustrating, it's like watching a novice try to learn how to be in a like MMA fight. You know what I mean? Like you've never fought anybody, and here you are in the ring, and you're looking
Mm-hmm.
around like, what I'm supposed to do, you know? So I appreciated her, and I appreciate the point you made about Kevin. I agree with you that it is that, or no, Centel. I agree with you that it was about making Kevin uh open up to the truth of him. He needed closure in order to unlock his reality, you know, and unlock his lying, you know. He couldn't see that because I think he was judging himself. So I get that part. It was a little out of left field, but I totally get it in terms of like building the world and creating this you know, international empire, because I was waiting for Janet McTeer. I was like, where is she? Y'all put her in the credits from episode one. When are we gonna get her? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I get the world building. I think I needed it to be a little smoother.
Okay. All right. Um, Now, and thank you for that, Courtney. Were there any, because Centel said a lot of things that made me think about. So, were there any recurring themes or motifs that added depth to this narrative? And I think it's a good point to think about. I would say sometime during production, maybe even before they finished, they had to know, or went into this with the thing like, we're going to have more than one season. Because I think, unfortunately, in the landscape that we have now, in the streaming era and the TV landscape we have now, you could put out a banger of a first season and still get canceled. Like, they'll close the curtain on you, and you might say, okay, this show is set up over a 5-season arc. Chances are you're not gonna make it. You're not gonna get there. You might get 2 or 3 if you're lucky. If you make it a 4, it's like, woo, y'all doing something. But um, were there any recurring themes or motifs that added to this particular type of gangster narrative?
I mean, power. It's just power. It's the Harringtons. What are they? The Harringtons? Is that the
Yeah,
name?
the Harringtons.
Harrington? Man, they're the crazy. I don't know. Like, they're the most powerful, craziest family I think I've ever seen. I don't know. And all Maeve. I I can't even find words to describe what Maeve is. I don't think I've ever seen a character that dynamic. And Helen Hunt just, I mean, I say
Helen
Helen
Mirren.
Hunt. Helen Mirren, she just brought so much power and strength to it. But like,
Don't forget
she
the
was,
crazy.
yeah, she was bad shit. Like, I mean,
She definitely was a Lady Macbeth.
yeah,
She was
it's
a
like,
full blown, she was a
yeah,
full blown like Lady Macbeth in the way that she carried that
yes,
character. A little bit of Lady Macbeth, a little bit all three witches.
right.
Yeah.
And
But
it was nothing that like she didn't back down from anything. Like anything. She was balls out for everything. So, and she even talks about it. I love the little narrative she gives when she talks, and I don't want to spoil too much. She talks about Mother Nature. Like, we love Mother
Oh,
Nature, and it's
yeah.
cruel, it's unflinching, but yet we still worship. And I was like, yeah, that's how this character was written. So, if there was a motif that I thought, it was just pure power. It wasn't cunning. It wasn't being sly. It was power, and power always wins. That's what I took away from it.
was definitely Mount Olympus. It's like full
Yeah,
blown like Zeus and Hera.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And Hera not really like, even though, like certain elements and things that she found out about her family and knew about her family, it was how she wielded power that it didn't get in the way of her agenda. The whole way the son, who was the crazy son?
Eddie.
Eddie.
Eddie
Yeah,
crazy ass.
Yeah. It did not go where I thought it was going to go. Like, I knew exactly who he was within the family, given the revelations about, Isabella and what have you. I peeped that from the like episode one. But I think I was a little disappointed. I really wanted it to be, and again, this was me scripting. And so it's not fair. Like, it's not really a reason why I didn't give it a full binge out. I was just kind of hoping that she was going to wild out like she had been using that kid all along because of who he actually was. That it was an opportunity to show her husband Like, I got you, bitch. Yeah, look what I made this little bitch do. You know what I mean? Like, and take him off the playing board, game board. I really thought that was coming, and so I was a little bit disappointed.
Here's the thing, and I think you're actually right. And Trey, Centel, you and Courtney gave two excellent examples. Um, Courtney, your example of this being a Mount Olympus, that is spot on. Zeus is ruler of the castle. He's ruler of the heavens. But he can't see that Hera is actively working against his monkey ass every time because she loves him and she can't stand him at the same time. And the whole time she's working to replace him. She's still gonna keep her spot. She's working to replace him, but she didn't realize that she is working with Ares, the god of war, just batshit crazy. He's out of his mind. And even that revelation, that talk between them two, at the end, he's like, "What? Nah, you done made that up. Like you didn't put this battery in my back all this time, but yeah, I'm not for whatever you talking about. Mm-mm. Um, but the thing is, I loved how I don't know which character he is, or he's Perseus or who is he, but
Ooh,
Harry,
Eddie?
Harry, the
Oh, Harry.
quiet fixer, never raises and commanded the most strength in the entire show. He, even
Tell
when
me,
he's in killing mode, he's
messenger of
like
the gods.
quiet
Tell me.
killer. Take that with you, bad boy, baby. It's wild. But I think Trey, your example of this being like Westeros, you're right. This was kind of very Game of Thrones in the fact of how much stuff was going on in all of these different um like kingdoms. Like you had Richie Stevenson. You had basically we followed the Lannister family this whole season. With Harry being Tyrion, is the only one that got any damn sense out of everybody. Everybody's crazy as hell. Um, and I thought that was a good way to do it, especially as you talk about where we're going for season two as it opens up. I think those were excellent examples.
I'll make this kind of quick if I can. For me, I think a big theme is like where does loyalty lie? Loyalty is such a big thing in this, and there's lots of different places where it lies. Like with Helen, excuse me, with Maeve, loyalty lies in blood. It's about blood for her. With another person that comes in a little bit later, that her thing is loyalty lies in experience. With Harry, loyalty lies with his friends. Some of this is loyalty all through history. There's a great thing where Richie has somebody that ends up working for him a little bit later, and you see loyalty through history, loyalty through vows, through Harry and his relationship with Jan, loyalty through power is a big one. So I think this is always being tested, and depending on what you're able to do to uplift or give or pay or push a narrative or whatever it is you represent can determine, the relationship that people have with one another. And we see a lot of those get stressed almost every single episode. So for me, a big underlying theme was, where does your loyalty lie and
Okay.
why?
All right. Thank you for that. All right. So before we close this out, I want to get to standout performances. What were some of the standout performances that truly elevated this show? Um, I think we've talked ad nauseum about Helen Mirren's Maeve. She brought the crate. It's unlike anything I've ever seen on TV. Like it was, I don't even have the words for it. It's just she brought crazy in a kind of way that was refreshing and terrifying. And this is almost like we're watching the episode and somebody of you said something, you gave a slight to her. Uh-oh, she's on her phone. She's calling in somebody. That's good night Christmas for you. Like, so I loved, I loved who she was and how she presented herself. in this show. So that's my standout performance.
I really think Pierce Brosnan.
Ooh,
Because, usually we see him as like the hero, Remington Steele, Dr. Fate,
yeah. James
like
Bond.
James
James
Bond.
Bond. He's always the smooth, elegant, lovable guy. And to see him in a role of, I mean, I can't really say villain, but in his powerhouse arrogant, very Zeus type way. Like when he comes out and he admits, no, I ordered that. Like y'all thinking that the expectation is that Maeve and all her crazy, but he's every bit as crazy as she
Mhm.
is because for him, it is about loyalty, a huge theme, but it's also about family. It's not just about like the family you're blood related to. It's also the maid family, which he created in this industry and environment. And like what is perceived to be his and how he is thought of by everybody else. And the way he carried himself, even when he was out there at the damn fishing pole, like everything had a moment when he went to see Jan and had her by her
Oh,
leg.
oh,
You
that
know,
was
like everything he did was just so interesting and it was such a refreshing take. Um and Gina, like I know we mentioned her, but when
mm-hmm,
she clocked Eddie in the stables,
mm-hmm.
like I really thought that she had a quiet resolve that was very much her dad. She's every bit as brilliant as he is.
Yeah,
So yeah, those are my standouts. And Tom Hardy, it goes without
yeah.
saying.
It goes
And
without saying.
we've talked about Maeve and we've talked about Tom Hardy. The sister Sarah, what's her name?
Serafina.
Serafina. I thought she had some great moments in the show. When they were, went to their little thing with the brother, I thought her ability to negotiate and stay calm in this instance,
Ooh,
and she was definitely the brains behind that whole deal until it went
super
a
left.
wire. She was
Mhm,
handling. She walked like business savvy. She was there. And she's been navigating Maeve's craziness since she's been born because she's in
mm-hmm,
that house. She's not warranted. She knows
mm-hmm.
that, but she still finds a place to carve out a niche for her. I'm looking forward to seeing more from her in season 2 as we explore the world building that we've been talking about.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, especially like how it ended. I was like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Conrad the Dread, 100 guns. Go
for
ahead, Centel.
for me, I liked what they did with Patty Constantine, who
Oh,
plays Kevin.
mm-hmm,
What do you do when you live in a house of not even lions, hyenas,
mm,
and they will devour any and everything, including members of your own family? God, it's hard to say this without being spoilers. What does it take to even maneuver in that? We love Harry because he is not of the family. So I think some of the things that he has to deal with is a little bit different, but he's the person that always seems to have the answers. But yet you're this young prince with a kingdom that's powerful, and both of your parents are madmen. And add to the fact, some other things happen to you that just constantly chip away at your ability to become the man, to be trusted, to be next up. And then when you find out that what really happens to him, that golly, I'm trying not to spoil. Because of his trauma, he's met at a crossroads, and I like what Patty Constantine was able to do with the before the moments of those crossroads, when he's at the crossroads, and then what he does with the character, or what he's seemingly going to do with the character once he gets on the other side of that, because he has sink or swim kind of moments. I couldn't even begin to imagine what it must be like to be in a household like that. But for the simple fact that he's not cowering or shying away, and what Patty Constantine does with that, I thought was just magnificent. I haven't seen, the last time I saw him do something like that and do something so well was House of the Dragon. I thought he gave one of the better performances in that show when he played the king. And there's some similarities to that where things kind of chip at his power and just chip and just nibble, and he wilts in House of the Dragon. You see him wilt more and more and more as he falls under the pressures of the kingdom, and he brings a lot of that energy to Kevin, and I loved it.
Okay, all right, that's great.
Let me ask y'all something real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody y'all want to cheer for in this series?
Anybody you wanted to cheer for?
Yeah.
I can't lie. You said something with Serafina. Because I think she's always the smartest person in the room.
Okay, maybe
There's
her.
Something about her. I mean, obviously Harry's the default for me. But if I get away from the Harry thing, there's something about Serafina that just I can't look away because there's something going on behind her eyes. You know, she sees a few moves ahead, and I like that. I root for her.
Okay.
I think this show is hard to
find anybody, right?
Anybody,
yeah.
Like, outside of Harry, it's really hard to root for anybody. And even Centel did a very good job of reminding us every episode that we watch. She's like, let's not forget, he is the damn bad guy. There's no good people in this show.
Right.
There's not
no
a
good
one
people
of them.
at all.
Nobody in this show is good.
Nobody.
So we're following the show in their perspective, but let's not get it twisted. These are bad people. So I don't know anybody to root for. I liked Harry. I like Serafina. I don't know. I'm interested to see what the hell's going to happen to Kevin this next season because he had an awakening, and I think he, I don't know what is going to come of that. So, and that damn Eddie. Oh, God. Anyway, so.
Yeah. I mean, it's not really about rooting for a person. I'm rooting for an entertaining death for a certain, character. I'm rooting for that. I'd like to see how that plays out, and I think you all know who I'm thinking about.
Yeah, we probably do.
But
Joffrey. Yeah, I was gonna say Joffrey.
But like Serafina, 100%. I really enjoyed that she was like, she was the pants between her and her brother, and she had the swag, she had the swagger, and she right to the very end, even when like in that major arc between the deal that she was working on and in its conclusion. And I don't mean the conclusion of the actual event. I mean the full circle moment where she brought it back.
Mm-hmm.
She brought it back like, so I told you when we were together last, this is what was gonna happen. Like literally no beat were missed. Like it was so clear, and I was so proud of her because there was no emotion, no like any kind of visible remnants of what she may or may not be feeling. And yet when it came to the conversation between her and Janet McTeer, she was like, I'm listening. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, that was a thing.
That was dope.
What are you offering? You know what I mean? Like, she's so savvy. I really want to know who her mother was. Like I want to know who that woman is, because she had to be fucking amazing to pull to pull Conrad's attention, and then to create. And let's not get it twisted, Maeve didn't have anything to do with Serafina. We saw what Maeve's influence does to Eddie. Who influenced Serafina? Because I want to meet that mama, because I think she is fire.
And to your point,
hoping we get to meet who that is. And there was something else I was gonna, in terms of Maeve, I felt like watching Maeve, I felt like I was watching Beth Dutton, who she'll be in like 50 years.
Oh,
Her
oh,
crazy ass.
wow.
Like, what's
Wow.
gonna happen to Beth and Rip?
Mm.
This is the telltale story.
Mm.
Oh,
I've seen enough of
wow.
that
You
to
know
know
what
that
I mean?
reference. I've seen enough of it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can see
Yeah.
that.
So, huh?
To your point earlier, like to bring it back to like Hera, you know, Maeve had to make Seraphina's mother or tried to make her mother's life hell.
Oh,
Tried to. Yep. Had to.
she's even still with us.
Right. She's right. We don't know. We don't know. But like, yeah, Maeve was
Yeah.
not going to take that laying down. Like,
No, because if you think about like, you know, what happened to another one of Conrad's mistresses and how that story played out, and it's still a point of control, and
yeah, it's fine.
even Maeve's controlling of all the players involved.
Yeah.
It was just so I do appreciate the puppeteer, like because she is a full blown, like, I mean, she's in it to win it, because it takes some special balls to juggle with your own children and know that it's a possibility.
The audacity.
I mean, it
Unmitigated
took
gall.
some special
She
planning
played with the life of her own children.
to play with the lives of your own children.
I thought it was gonna come out okay, but she still put him in that situation.
Like, yeah, I'm willing to like roast him.
Right.
He might lose a leg, but I think he'll be okay. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
Cut to that. So, or it must have been equally hard for, when that deal closed out, for Seraphina to
Seraphina's-
then
yeah.
come back,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Okay.
And we
All
got
right.
some good information in the chat. People say Harry's team. People that they're cheering for.
Oh yeah.
Harry's
I like,
team.
yeah, like
Yeah. Kiko
Kiko,
and
yeah.
Zosha.
man,
Yep.
Kiko.
Uh-huh.
But like Zoshi, wasn't her name Zoshi, or like what was?
Zosha.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I did like them. I
Yeah.
absolutely did like them.
But it's tough.
Well, one of the performances that I'm really looking forward to, and I love the casting. You said Jenna McTeer,
Yes.
plays Kat. I am
Mhm.
so looking forward to seeing what comes out of that.
Yeah.
And I liked the guy that played Jaime.
Jordi Mola.
Yeah, man. There's something about that dude. I've seen him before in other things.
Yeah.
You
He
know,
always plays smarmy, like
yeah.
Jaime.
Yeah. The guy,
Jaime
the
Lopez,
Mexican,
the head of the
Oh,
cartel.
yeah.
There's something about him, and for certain things to go the way they are, with just saying those two names when it comes to Kat and Jaime, them two is going. It's something interesting. That's all I can say. Just them two are very dynamic, and if there's anything, I think Harry shines based off of the competition that he has to beat. And I feel like the both of them are going to allow him to have some legendary moments.
I think the one that we're sort of forgetting about, but it's going to be a point of contention in season 2, is Toby Jones, the who took over the task force, Colin Tattersall.
Oh, yeah.
That
Yeah.
That came out in left field, I thought. It was
It
interesting.
did. I'm not
Well, he's
excited
Ronin
about it
now, though.
because it just started with him. I needed to see him in the beginning as a peripheral character, like to just drop him in at like episode like 8. It was anticlimactic.
yeah, but I think that now he's been put in the place where he's been put. I think it becomes unhinged in season 2, because you know what I'm saying? Like the way it was that we had to grow from local to international, like we're getting ready to go onto a whole nother stage. And I think it took somebody who was above the local people or whatever. I don't know, Scotland Yard or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I think it'll be interesting.
And
So
I don't. I feel like he's just going to be in this position of like covering up the fact that he was involved in anything and seeing him either conform to a new regime or just race around like with a chicken with his head cut off. He just seems like a loose thread that's going to get tied up real fast. Um, so that for me, and if he doesn't have a long game to play, I'm going to be really just like, can we be done?
now
And I
that
like
that
him as an actor. I
I was
that
like,
about to
I
say the
agree with,
guy
and
that
I
plays
do. I
him
like
is,
Toby Jones as an
yeah.
actor, and I think
yeah,
every time I've seen him, he has a again, it goes back to the writing and how they write him in. So I understand it, but I'm hoping that the way he's written into season 2 is more on par with how we have seen him in other properties where it's worth it.
I can't. I don't remember Guy Ritchie wasting characters, especially some that are as interesting as Toby Jones. So I trust more in Guy Ritchie's show running chops to make sure that he's properly used. Because a perfect example, like I really wasn't paying a whole lot of attention to the guy that played Richie, Joff Bell, I think that's his name.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Jeff
Joff Bell.
Bell. Hmm.
But he grew on me in a way that I wasn't really expecting. It just took some time, and I do agree that Toby came in a little bit late. But he also came right on time because due to the things that kind of unfold, and he's kind of like Ronin. I think Guy Ritchie still has to dirty up some things, and everything else is dirty except for the police force. And I think that character has a great opportunity to have a wild card in it. Because if this is like a gangster Westeros kind of thing, not everything can be what we think it is. And the only really safe bet at the time was the police at the time. And now that he's there, everything is a wild card. Nothing is safe.
In the chat, Jamal, do we know who the writer was? Was Guy Ritchie just the director, or was he the writer?
Just the producer.
Just the producer.
And then he wrote a couple
yeah.
of them.
Ronan Bennett and Jez Butterworth pretty much were the writers.
Yeah.
Ronan got the created by credit and also writing.
But it shows because while it has touches of Guy Ritchie, this feels different than other Guy Ritchie projects.
Yeah, it's way different than Gentleman.
Yeah.
And Gentleman was good. Gentleman was good. That's not a
but
diss.
it did have those, a couple episodes, those periods, those lull periods. It's like, okay, all right, come on, let's get to it. This was almost, all gas, no brakes.
And I don't want to go
Yeah,
off.
I mean, keep in mind, Guy Ritchie directed the first 2 episodes. So that's one of the reasons why I came out like swinging.
Yeah, and that makes sense because he directed the first 2 episodes of The Gentleman, right? Or at least the first 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think he did the first 3 of The Gentleman.
Yeah.
I'd have to look it up.
And you could tell it came out gangbusters, right? It was all octane,
But I did like the movie The Gentleman too.
Oh yeah.
The movie, The Gentleman.
The movie was so much like The Gentleman, the TV show was cool, you know what I mean? But I thought that the movie was my favorite of the 2.
Yeah, but it's
a sleeper.
you can't put Theo, whatever his name, Theo James in for Matthew McConaughey. Like that's not even a comparison. Like Matthew McConaughey, hell, he's Matthew McConaughey. Hell, like it's just like we do another series and now we put somebody in for Tom Hardy.
Right, but it was also
same type of gravitas.
It was also Charlie Hunnam in the movie opposite McConaughey, who was his like fixer. He was his like Harry,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And outside of Sons of Anarchy, this is one of the best things I've ever seen Charlie Hunnam do. Besides the early thing he did was at Green Street Hooligans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
good.
So something real quick. I just wanted to put a battery in your back, Rakai. You had said something that I didn't even consider. This project was originally not supposed to be this. This was actually supposed to be a continuation of Ray Donovan, right? I'll let
Yes.
you
Oh,
take it from there.
Yes, this project was originally the
makes
Donovan
sense.
family. So Mobland was actually
Oh,
about the Donovan family. However, talks on that broke down or whatever. Because
it makes sense.
it wasn't gonna feature Liv Shriver. Um, but it was gonna be about his family. And the family he came from, the Harrigan family, was actually gonna be, the Donovan family. But
Oh,
whatever, that broke down and they decided to go a different way.
okay.
So they changed certain things about it. And Harry, essentially Harry D'Souza, was going to be a
What
Donovan.
he
Yes.
is, I mean, the characters. I don't know if you all watch Ray Donovan or not, but
I've
like the
watched
characters
for
are
a while.
very similar, like very similar. They're quiet, brutal, efficient, balancing the family thing. The characters are almost the same.
Okay.
But I don't know. And it's been a while since I've seen Ray Donovan. And I liked Ray Donovan the seasons that I saw.
Yeah.
But I don't remember because Harry's outright, just absolute, unwaverable loyalty to the Harrigan family is
So
something. And I remember Ray Donovan not really having that type of allegiance. Like he was a fixer, but
so
not a fixer
talk about
only
it.
for these
He
people.
was until something goes on. His code of morality changes that.
Okay.
When the people he has that sort of loyalty does something that he just finds unforgivable.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't remember if I made it that far or not, but yeah, I did like Ray Donovan. I didn't finish it. So
Yeah, but the characters are similar, so I could definitely see how
yeah,
maybe that was
this
a thought.
project was
Yeah,
originally
yeah,
a
that makes
Ray
sense.
Donovan spinoff. So,
Okay,
and then whatever happened, the people that own that character, whatever, it broke down and they
okay,
switched it to become this. So,
okay.
all right. Well, I think we have talked enough about this. I think we've said what we needed to say about this. Um, so let's go ahead and rewrite it. I'll start. I'm gonna stay at a 5, at a binge out. Even the smaller the talking points that we had in here, that things that didn't sit well or didn't flow as well as they probably should have, I still think that I anticipated. I couldn't wait to watch this every week. This was definitely a highlight of the weekend watching. So I'm gonna stay where I was at a 5. Anybody? Let's do Randy.
Uh Centel almost had me when he talked about the world building, stepping out from building the world for later seasons, but it just wasn't enough to swing it in a direction to me for full binge out. I enjoyed it. And I don't want to say that I didn't. I don't want to even act like I didn't. Super good. I would recommend anybody watch it, but I'm gonna stay at a 4 mil.
Okay. All right. Miss Courtney.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay as well. I I agree. What Johnny just said was exactly how I feel. I happily recommend this, and I have recommended it to friends that I know would enjoy it. I just thought that the cleanup for Harry to be a fixer, I just felt like the cleanup was a little murky. Like there were just a couple holes for me in the landing. But I do think that is a great property, and I'm excited to see like what happens next with season 2. And yeah.
Okay. And in cleanup at bat, Mr. Centel.
Loved it. I stand by it. Blue magic, baby. That's what this show is.
Blue magic.
Is outside of Peaky Blinders, because I have not seen Peaky Blinders, and I've heard people say it's goated as far as gangster shows go. So I can't speak on behalf of Peaky Blinders, but outside of that, it is the most dynamic gangster series I've ever seen, and there's not even a close next to it. There's potentially Peaky Blinders, and then there's a drop off to everything else.
Higher.
That's how much. Yes, is it gangster? That's more of a city exploit.
Okay.
First off, The Wire is the greatest series of all time, period. Bar no other series, the greatest. It is the GOAT. But if you want just gangster stuff, if you want that, if that's your thing and you're looking for it, and you need something to really come off of the high of, say, like Gangs of London's first season is absolutely phenomenal, really good.
First
You need
season.
something in that
First
vein.
season.
This is what you would kind of like transition into. I'll even go as far as to say, outside of Andor, I think this is the best series of 2025. I stand by BingeWorthy.
Okay. All right. Well, I do want to say thank you to everyone that showed up to hear our explanation, our binge-worthy exposition about Mobland, Paramount Plus's Mobland.
And just
in the end, you
Matt
hear
put in the chat. Mark put in the chat that he gave it a full binge out too. I was just throwing that out there.
outstanding. We did end up, so our initial rating became our ending rating, so we didn't move each other anyway. We stand pat with where we were, so that actually came out to 4.5, so rounding up to a binge worthy, even though it must be said we were half and half, but still the good half and half. We were at a full meal and a binge worthy, so we're right in between. So that means that we definitely recommend that you should binge Paramount Plus's Mobland. I do want to thank my esteemed guests, Mr. Johnny Randolph, Miss Courtney Scott Wright, and Mr. Trey Murphy, Mr. Centel with the Intel. So, my bad, I gave you government.
It's all good. It's all
My
good.
government, really?
He's like, damn it, load up the cars.
Right. Like
With
my
this
government.
protection, hold on, let
Like
me call
what?
my handler. Golly, this guy. We do want to say thank you to Digital Click. They can handle any of your digital marketing needs. So whatever you need, whether it's graphics like you see on the screen, anything to help propel your project digitally, make sure that you reach out to Digital Click. You can find their information in the description. And to the greatest technical producer in the land, Mr. Rodney Cajudo, thank you, sir. We couldn't do this without you. And as you know, we have several of our members who are not with us tonight, so we have not seen Dela in a while. She's working on projects. Catherine could not be with us tonight, unfortunately. But she said what she's watched so far has been great. She just didn't get a chance to finish. And Chuck is jet setting. He's on some other part of the world that he probably has no business being in or something like that. He's doing some stuff he has no business doing, but we love him anyway. So I do want to say next week is a treat. As we are moving into the season of Juneteenth, our Juneteenth special for you next week is it on Netflix? It's Netflix's Forever. So we're going to talk about Forever next week. So with that, next week will be same bat time, same bat channel. Thank y'all and good night.